In today's video, you'll discover the most valuable Jefferson nickels, the rare errors to look for, and how one small coin in your collection could be worth far more than you ever imagined. Let's get started. What if I told you that a single 1998 D Monticello Thomas Jefferson nickel hiding in an old coin jar, forgotten piggy bank, or even the loose change in your car could be worth far more than its face value? Every single day, millions of people spend nickels without giving them a second thought. They buy coffee, pay for parking, or leave them behind in a cashier's tray. Collectors, however, know something the average spender doesn't. The difference between a spender and a collector isn't just knowledge, it's opportunity. While one person sees 5 cents, another sees the possibility of a life-changing discovery. And today, we're uncovering one of the most talked about modern Jefferson nickels, a coin that has captured the attention of serious numismatists because of its remarkable errors, extreme rarity in elite condition, and auction stories that continue to fuel excitement throughout the collecting community. Before you spend another nickel, stay with me because the coin sitting quietly in your pocket could deserve a second look. The Jefferson nickel has been part of American history since 1938, honoring one of the nation's founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson. The reverse proudly displays his famous home, Monticello, a symbol recognized by generations of Americans. By 1998, billions of Jefferson nickels had already entered circulation, making most people assume that every modern nickel was common and practically worthless. That assumption is exactly why remarkable examples continue slipping through everyday commerce unnoticed. Hidden among ordinary coins are extraordinary survivors, pieces with unusual characteristics that transform an everyday nickel into an object of fascination for collectors across the country. Now here's where the story becomes far more interesting. The Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of Jefferson nickels during 1998, each carrying the familiar D Mint mark. At first glance, they all appear nearly identical. Yet experienced collectors know that a tiny percentage escape the mint with striking abnormalities that make them dramatically different from the rest. These aren't ordinary circulation marks created after leaving the mint. They're genuine minting errors born during production, and those errors are exactly what can separate an ordinary 5-cent coin from one that commands astonishing attention. Before we go any further, here's something I want you to do. If you have a jar of old coins sitting somewhere in your home, pause for just a moment after this video and check it. Most valuable discoveries don't happen in museums. They happen in kitchens, garages, dresser drawers, and forgotten collections inherited from family members. That's exactly where many remarkable coins have been found. One of the most desirable characteristics on a 1998 D Jefferson nickel is an exceptionally strong strike displaying full detail on Monticello. Collectors often focus on what is known as full steps, referring to the sharply defined horizontal steps leading to Jefferson's historic home. Because dies wear down quickly during production, perfectly struck full steps examples become surprisingly difficult to locate. Even the smallest interruption caused by weak striking or contact marks can prevent a coin from qualifying for this highly desirable designation. When a flawless full-step specimen appears, competition among advanced collectors becomes intense. Another feature experts immediately inspect is die doubling. This occurs when the working die receives a slightly misaligned impression during its creation, producing doubled design elements visible under magnification. Depending on the severity and location, doubling may appear on lettering, Jefferson's portrait, the date, or portions of Monticello itself. Genuine doubled dies are considerably scarcer than ordinary machine doubling, making proper authentication absolutely essential. Collectors who understand the difference know that authentic double dies occupy a special place within modern coin collecting. Then there are dramatic off-center strikes. Imagine a blank nickel planchet entering the coining press slightly misaligned. Instead of receiving a perfectly centered design, part of the image shifts toward the edge, leaving an unmistakable blank crescent. The more dramatic the off-center strike while still retaining the complete date and mint mark, the greater the collector demand tends to be. Every off-center error tells the story of a split-second mechanical mistake inside one of the world's busiest mints. Equally fascinating are broad strikes, where the retaining collar fails during striking, allowing the metal to spread beyond its intended diameter. These coins often appear larger than normal with missing edge definition. Lamination errors also attract attention. During the metal preparation process, impurities or structural weaknesses within the alloy can cause thin layers to peel away from the surface after striking, creating unusual textures that cannot be duplicated through normal circulation damage. Another sought-after variety involves die cracks and retained cut formations. As production continues, tremendous striking pressure gradually weakens the die itself. Tiny fractures begin forming before eventually expanding into raised lines or larger metal-filled areas on the finished coin. While many die cracks are relatively minor, dramatic examples become collectible because they illustrate the life cycle of a working die nearing failure. Here's a question worth asking yourself. How many nickels have passed through your hands during your lifetime? Thousands? Tens of thousands? Now imagine if just one of those coins carried one of these remarkable mint errors, and you spent it without ever noticing. That's a thought capable of making any collector stop and think twice before emptying their pocket change. Condition plays an equally important role. Many people believe rarity alone creates value, but preservation is often just as critical. Most Jefferson nickels enter circulation immediately after leaving the mint, collecting scratches, bag marks, fingerprints, and wear within days. Finding a pristine 1998 D nickel with brilliant original luster, razor-sharp details, and virtually flawless surfaces becomes increasingly difficult with every passing year. High-grade examples certified by respected grading services consistently command enormous premiums compared with ordinary circulated coins. Professional grading also provides confidence within the marketplace. Authentication eliminates uncertainty, while numerical grading establishes a standardized condition recognized worldwide. Buyers investing substantial amounts want assurance that a coin genuinely possesses the characteristics being advertised. This is why certified examples frequently outperform uncertified pieces when major auctions attract competitive bidding. Let's pause for another reality check. Pocket change has become so overlooked that many people don't even bend down to pick up a nickel lying on the sidewalk. Yet collectors willingly spend thousands of dollars pursuing exceptional examples that meet their exact standards. Sometimes the smallest objects carry the greatest surprises. Now let's address one of the biggest questions surrounding this coin. Can a 1998 D Jefferson nickel truly reach values approaching hundreds of thousands of dollars? The answer requires important context. Ordinary circulated examples remain worth only face value or modest collector premiums. However, exceptionally rare combinations involving spectacular mint errors, elite preservation, remarkable eye appeal, and certified top population status have generated enormous excitement whenever they appear. These extraordinary pieces are not everyday coins. They represent the absolute pinnacle of rarity within their category, making direct comparisons with ordinary nickels impossible. Stories of extraordinary auction prices continue fueling interest because collectors recognize one simple truth. Rarity cannot be manufactured after the fact. Once production ends, no additional 1998 D Jefferson nickels can ever be created. Every year, more examples become damaged, cleaned, lost, or permanently removed from collector-quality condition. Meanwhile, demand from advanced collectors continues growing as modern coin collecting attracts new enthusiasts searching for overlooked treasures. Some market discussions have suggested that a unique, elite condition 1998 D Jefferson nickel with an extraordinary mint error and impeccable certification could theoretically approach values as high as $688,000 under exceptional auction circumstances. While such figures would represent an extraordinary outlier rather than a typical market price, they demonstrate how collectors place enormous value on truly one-of-a-kind combinations of rarity, condition, provenance, and demand. The overwhelming majority of 1998 D nickels will never reach anything close to that level, making careful authentication and realistic valuation absolutely essential. This is exactly why experienced collectors never judge a coin by date alone. They study strike quality. They inspect mint luster. They search for doubling, off-center strikes, die breaks, laminations, clipped planchets, broad strikes, and other genuine mint-made characteristics. Every tiny detail contributes to the story. Every detail influences value. Here's another challenge for you. Before this week ends, search every nickel you own. Look through your change jar. Check old coin rolls stored in drawers. Ask your parents or grandparents if they still have forgotten collections tucked away somewhere. You might not discover a six-figure rarity, but you'll never know unless you look. History has repeatedly shown that remarkable coins often appear in the most ordinary places. The modern coin market has become increasingly competitive as more collectors recognize that overlooked treasures still exist in circulation and long-forgotten collections. Online auctions, professional grading, and expanding collector communities have created unprecedented visibility for rare coins. What once remained hidden inside local collections can now attract worldwide attention within days. That increased exposure has encouraged collectors to search more carefully than ever before, particularly for modern coins previously dismissed as too common to matter. The story of the 1998 de Monticello Thomas Jefferson nickel reminds us of something much larger than money. It teaches patience, curiosity, and the importance of paying attention to details others ignore. Great discoveries rarely announce themselves. They wait quietly until someone knowledgeable takes the time to look closer. In a world where everyone rushes past ordinary objects, collectors understand that extraordinary value often hides behind an ordinary appearance. So the next time someone hands you a handful of change, don't see 5-cent coins. See possibilities. See history. See opportunities waiting to be uncovered. One careful examination could reveal an overlooked mint error, a stunning full-step survivor, or a remarkable collectible worthy of professional evaluation. The difference between spending and discovering may be only a few seconds of careful observation. And if today's story amazed you, don't miss what's coming next. In our next episode, we'll uncover another ultra-rare American coin with mysterious mint errors, astonishing auction history, and a value that has left even experienced collectors speechless. If you enjoy discovering hidden treasures that could still be hiding in everyday pocket change, make sure you stay with us, because the next coin might be even more unbelievable than this one. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out an ordinary-looking nickel, and unknowingly spending a coin that could be worth far more than your care or even your house. It sounds unbelievable, but stories like these have fueled the passion of coin collectors for generations. Every day, millions of Jefferson nickels pass through cash registers, vending machines, and coin jars without anyone giving them a second glance. Most people see only 5 cents. Collectors, however, see possibilities. And hidden among the countless common coins is one date that has captured growing attention: the 2000 P. Monticello Thomas Jefferson nickel. While the overwhelming majority of these coins are worth only face value, a tiny number displaying exceptional minting errors and extraordinary condition have become the focus of serious collectors. Some sensational claims online mention values reaching as high as $888,000. But such prices would require an incredibly rare combination of dramatic mint errors, pristine preservation, and exceptional collector demand. Before another nickel slips through your fingers, stay with us, because the coin sitting quietly in your change could deserve a much closer look. The Jefferson nickel has been a cornerstone of American pocket change since 1938. Designed by Felix Schlag, it features Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his Virginia estate, Monticello, on the reverse. By the year 2000, billions of Jefferson nickels had already entered circulation, making them one of America's most familiar coins. The Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of nickels that year, each carrying the small P mint mark beside Jefferson's portrait. At first glance, there appears to be nothing extraordinary about this issue. Yet experienced collectors know that rarity is often created not by the date alone, but by what happened during the minting process. When tiny mechanical failures occur inside high-speed coin presses, the results can transform an ordinary coin into an object of intense collector interest. Here's something you should do right now. If you have a coin jar, a desk drawer, or even loose change in your car, pause for a moment after this video and look for a 2000 P. Jefferson nickel. Most viewers never check because they assume every nickel is identical. That simple assumption has caused countless collectible coins to disappear back into circulation. One of the most desirable characteristics collectors search for is the off-center strike. During production, a blank planchet must be perfectly aligned before the dies strike it. If the planchet shifts even slightly, part of the design may be missing while the date and mint mark remain visible. Coins with dramatic off-center strikes are visually striking and considerably scarcer than normal examples. The greater the misalignment while still showing the date, the stronger the collector demand tends to be. Another highly sought-after error is the broad strike. This occurs when the retaining collar fails to hold the coin in place during striking. Without the collar, the metal expands outward, producing a larger, flatter coin with distorted edges. Broad-struck Jefferson nickels immediately stand out because they look noticeably different from every other nickel in circulation. Genuine broad strikes are carefully authenticated before commanding premium prices in the collector market. Collectors also pay close attention to doubled dies. This error originates during the creation of the working die itself, not after the coin leaves the mint. A true doubled die may display noticeable doubling on Jefferson's lettering, the date, the mint mark area, or the inscriptions surrounding the portrait. Under magnification, genuine doubling appears crisp and well-defined rather than blurry or damaged. Because many forms of machine doubling can resemble true double dies, authentication by a respected grading service becomes extremely important. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever tossed a nickel into a tip jar without even looking at the date? Most people have. That's exactly why remarkable discoveries continue to happen decades after these coins entered circulation. Hidden treasures don't always look extraordinary at first glance. Another fascinating error involves die cracks and retained die breaks. As minting dies wear down under enormous pressure, microscopic fractures can develop. Eventually, these cracks leave raised lines across the finished coin. Larger die breaks may create unusual raised metal areas that collectors often nickname cuds. While many die cracks are relatively minor, dramatic examples can generate substantial interest because they document the life cycle of the minting equipment itself. Die clashes represent another category that fascinates specialists. Occasionally, the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a blank planchet between them. This accidental contact transfers faint design elements from one die onto the other. Future coins struck by those damaged dies may display ghost-like outlines of design features in unexpected locations. These subtle characteristics often require magnification to identify, making them exciting discoveries for experienced collectors willing to examine every detail. Among the most visually dramatic mint errors are clipped planchets. Before coins are struck, blank metal discs are punched from large sheets of metal. If the punching process overlaps an existing hole, part of the blank may be missing before striking. The finished coin displays a curved section removed from its edge, creating an unmistakable appearance. Authentic clipped planchets exhibit distinctive metal flow characteristics that experts use to distinguish genuine mint errors from post-mint damage. Condition plays an equally important role in determining value. A coin may feature a desirable error, but if it has heavy scratches, corrosion, or excessive wear, its market value can decline dramatically. On the other hand, a perfectly preserved example displaying full mint luster, razor-sharp details, and minimal contact marks can command enormous premiums. Professional grading services evaluate these characteristics using the mint state grading scale. The difference between MS65 and MS67 may appear subtle to beginners, but financially it can represent thousands, or in extraordinary circumstances, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Here's where many people unknowingly make an expensive mistake. They clean their coins. It seems logical that making a coin shiny would increase its value. In reality, cleaning almost always damages the original surfaces and significantly reduces collector interest. Natural toning and untouched mint surfaces are far more desirable than polished metal. If you believe you've discovered an unusual 2000p Jefferson nickel, leave it exactly as you found it and store it carefully until it can be professionally examined. So why has the 2000p Jefferson nickel become something of a ghost in the marketplace? The answer lies in numbers. While hundreds of millions were produced, only a microscopic fraction exhibit major mint errors, and an even smaller percentage survived in exceptional condition. Once those rare pieces enter advanced collections, they often remain hidden for years or decades. As a result, fresh discoveries become increasingly exciting whenever they appear at major auctions or through respected dealers. The growing popularity of coin collecting has also transformed the marketplace. Digital auction platforms now allow collectors from across the country and around the world to compete for exceptional examples. Increased visibility means that rare error coins often attract more bidders than ever before. Strong competition naturally pushes prices higher whenever a truly extraordinary specimen enters the market. This is where sensational headlines begin appearing online. You may have seen claims that a 2000p Jefferson nickel is worth as much as $888,000. It's important to understand the reality behind those numbers. An ordinary circulated 2000p nickel is generally worth only its face value. However, an exceptionally rare example featuring a dramatic, authenticated mint error, combined with elite condition, extraordinary eye appeal, and intense auction competition, could command an astonishing premium compared with a normal coin. These extraordinary situations are exceptionally uncommon, which is precisely why collectors remain fascinated by them. Think about the odds for a moment. Every handful of pocket change contains coins that most people ignore. Somewhere, someone unknowingly spends a collectible coin every single day simply because they never learned what to look for. That possibility is exactly what makes numismatics so captivating. Unlike many hobbies, treasure hunting doesn't always require expensive equipment or distant travel. Sometimes it begins with the change already sitting in your own home. Here's another quick challenge. Before this week is over, search every nickel you own. Check the date. Find the mint mark. Look carefully for doubling, off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped edges, broad strikes, or other unusual features. You might spend 15 minutes examining coins that everyone else dismissed, and even if you don't uncover a major rarity today, you'll develop the trained eye that every successful collector eventually acquires. The greatest discoveries in coin collecting rarely happen because someone was lucky. They happen because someone paid attention while everyone else looked away. Knowledge consistently beats chance. Every expert collector started with a single coin, a simple question, and the curiosity to learn something new. That same opportunity is available to anyone willing to slow down and examine the details hidden in everyday pocket change. As the market for certified error coins continues to evolve, demand for spectacular examples remains remarkably strong. Collectors appreciate rarity because genuine mint mistakes cannot be reproduced. Each authentic error tells the story of a unique moment inside the United States Mint, where a split-second mechanical imperfection created something no one intended. That combination of history, scarcity, and authenticity is what gives these coins their enduring appeal. So before you spend another nickel without looking, remember this. What appears ordinary today could reveal an extraordinary story tomorrow. The 2000p Monticello Thomas Jefferson nickel reminds us that remarkable discoveries often hide in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough to notice what everyone else overlooked. And if you thought this nickel was surprising, wait until you see the ultra-rare coin we'll uncover in our next video, a coin so mysterious that even experienced collectors have searched for decades hoping to find just one example. You won't want to miss that incredible story. What if the 5-cent coin sitting in your pocket right now is worth more than a luxury mansion? Most people never give a second thought to a Jefferson nickel. They spend it on a cup of coffee, toss it into a tip jar, or leave it forgotten in the cup holder of their car. But collectors know a completely different story. They understand that every ordinary-looking coin has the potential to hide an extraordinary secret. And today, we're uncovering one of the most talked-about modern nickels in the collecting world, the 2021 Monticello Thomas Jefferson nickel. While millions were produced, a microscopic group of extraordinary error coins has become the center of attention among advanced collectors. Some experts believe that the finest and rarest examples could command astonishing prices at major auctions, with exceptional specimens and dramatic mint errors generating incredible excitement. Before you spend another nickel, you may want to look a little closer because what appears to be just 5 cents could actually be the discovery of a lifetime. Imagine this for a moment. Two people receive the exact same handful of change at a grocery store. One spends every coin without looking. The other takes just 30 seconds to inspect each piece. Years later, one person has nothing to show for those nickels. The other discovers an extraordinary mint error that transforms an ordinary day into an unforgettable payday. That simple difference separates spenders from collectors. The real question is this: which one are you becoming today? The Jefferson nickel has been an American classic since 1938, honoring Thomas Jefferson and featuring his historic home, Monticello, on the reverse. Over the decades, billions have entered circulation, making them one of the most familiar coins in America. Yet history has repeatedly proven that the rarest treasures often hide inside the most common designs. Every year, the United States Mint produces millions of coins under intense production schedules. Even with advanced technology, perfection isn't always possible. Tiny mistakes can escape quality control, creating coins that collectors eagerly search for. The 2021 D. Jefferson nickel, struck at the Denver Mint, has become especially interesting because modern era coins are becoming increasingly difficult to find as minting technology improves. That makes every genuine error significantly more desirable. Now here's where things become fascinating. Not every 2021 D nickel is valuable. In fact, the overwhelming majority are worth only face value. The true stars are the coins carrying dramatic mint errors combined with exceptional preservation. These are the coins that create bidding wars, attract professional grading companies, and become legendary among serious numismatists. The first error every collector searches for is the dramatic off-center strike. During the minting process, the blank planchet must sit perfectly centered between the dies. If it shifts even slightly, part of the design fails to appear while another section becomes unusually wide. Minor off-center strikes are collectible, but once the design shifts significantly while still showing the date and mint mark, collector demand rises dramatically. Large off-center errors on modern Jefferson nickels are remarkably scarce because automated quality control systems usually remove defective coins before they leave the mint. The next major prize is the famous double die variety. This occurs during die production rather than during the striking process. A double die creates noticeable separation in lettering, numbers, or design elements. On the 2021 D. Jefferson nickel, collectors carefully inspect Jefferson's inscriptions, the date, the word liberty, Indiana God we trust, and details surrounding Monticello. Genuine double dies display clear, rounded doubling rather than flat machine doubling. Under proper magnification, authentic examples can immediately distinguish themselves from ordinary circulation coins. Another highly desirable error is the die crack. Over time, tremendous striking pressure causes minting dies to develop fractures. As these cracks widen, molten metal flows into the damaged area, leaving raised lines across the finished coin. While tiny die cracks are fairly common, dramatic cracks stretching across Jefferson's portrait or through Monticello can attract significant collector attention. Some advanced collectors actually specialize in studying these evolving die states because each stage tells part of the die's history before retirement. Then there is the spectacular retained cud or full cud error. When a portion of the die breaks away completely, metal fills the missing space during striking, producing a raised blob attached to the rim. Large cud errors dramatically change the appearance of the coin, making them immediately recognizable. These dramatic errors are among the most visually impressive mistakes produced by the mint. Now stop for just a second. If you have a jar of nickels sitting somewhere in your house, this might be the perfect time to pause this video and check it. Thousands of collectors have discovered valuable varieties only because curiosity convinced them to take one closer look. Your next hidden treasure could already be sitting in your kitchen drawer. Another valuable category involves clipped planchets. Before striking, blank coins are punched from long metal strips. Occasionally, the cutting process overlaps, producing blanks with curved sections missing from the edge. Once struck, these clipped planchet errors become unmistakable. Their unusual appearance immediately attracts collectors because they represent a mistake that occurred before the coin was ever struck. Broad strike errors are equally fascinating. Normally, the retaining collar surrounds the blank during striking, creating the coin's final diameter and edge. If the collar fails, the coin expands beyond its normal size, producing a broad strike. The design often appears stretched while the edge loses its normal shape. High-grade broad-strike Jefferson nickels remain desirable additions to specialized error collections. One of the most dramatic discoveries involves struck-through errors. During minting, grease, cloth fibers, metal fragments, or other foreign material occasionally become trapped between the die and the blank. The resulting coin displays missing or distorted design elements exactly where the obstruction occurred. Every struck-through error is unique, making each example essentially one of a kind. Perhaps the rarest of all are wrong planchet errors. Imagine a Jefferson nickel accidentally struck on a blank intended for another denomination. These spectacular mint mistakes are among the most coveted modern errors because they represent multiple failures in the minting process. Authentication is absolutely essential, but genuine wrong planchet examples can become headline auction pieces. Here's something many people never realize. Condition can be just as important as rarity. A rare error coin heavily worn through circulation may still command a premium, but the highest values almost always belong to coins preserving flawless mint luster. Professional grading services evaluate strike quality, surface preservation, eye appeal, and originality. Even tiny differences in grade can mean thousands or sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars in market value. Think about that for a second. Two coins with the exact same error may not sell for the same price. One receives a near-perfect grade, while the other shows minor contact marks. That single grading difference can completely change the outcome at auction. Now here's an interesting question. How many nickels have passed through your hands over the last year? 50? 100? Maybe even several hundred? What if one of them carried an extraordinary mint error that quietly disappeared into circulation because nobody bothered to look? It's a funny thought, but it has happened before, and it will happen again. Modern collectors often describe exceptional 2021 D error nickels as ghost coins. Why? Because they appear unexpectedly, disappear into private collections almost immediately, and rarely return to the public market. Many remain hidden for years after discovery. Others are inherited, forgotten inside collections, or stored away in bank vaults. Their scarcity creates powerful demand whenever authenticated examples finally surface. Auction houses have repeatedly demonstrated that rarity, certification, eye appeal, and collector competition create astonishing prices. When multiple determined bidders compete for a truly exceptional modern error, logic often gives way to emotion. Collectors understand that another opportunity may not appear for years. That urgency drives remarkable auction results. Some market analysts believe that if a unique 2021 D Jefferson nickel combined multiple dramatic mint errors with an elite professional grade and impeccable provenance, its theoretical value could climb toward an astonishing $778,000 under extraordinary market conditions. While such outcomes are exceptionally rare and depend entirely on authentication, rarity, grading, and competitive bidding, history has shown that extraordinary coins consistently rewrite expectations. The modern coin market continues to evolve as new collectors enter the hobby every year. Online auctions, professional grading services, and social media have introduced millions of Americans to the excitement of searching pocket change. What once seemed like a hobby for specialists has become a nationwide treasure hunt. Every trip to the grocery store, every roll from the bank, and every forgotten coin jar now carries a sense of possibility. But here's the reality that separates successful collectors from everyone else. Knowledge creates opportunity. Most people glance at a nickel